Is your Ridgeline acting strange? Every time you put it in drive and reverse, it's like it's knocking itself into drive and reverse. And if you go over uneven roads, then it's like something's loose in front. And every time it shifts, it's like you feel a shudder, and yeah, it's not really fluently, it's not really soft. Well, if your suspension is good, chances are your two engine mounts, or one of them, is broken. And if you leave it like this, the second one and the third one will break as well. In the next clip, I'm going to show you guys how you can see, well, I'm going to show you guys my engine mounts and how you can see the engine move, and well, how it's not supposed to move. After that, I'm going to show you guys, after the repair, how it's supposed to move with some good engine mounts. And I'm going to take you guys into the repair and show you guys what to do. You have to have a little bit of a technical know-how, but it's not that difficult. You just have to make sure, well, you don't break any bolts and you support your engine where you have to. So yeah, let's do this job. Let's go. So the first step is to disconnect your negative battery cable. I'm going to show you guys how to do it, because if you don't know how to do that, well, don't start this job. Next, I've got my LPG system here, which I have to work around with. Other than that, try and use these bolts, magnetic bolts, to keep everything together. And now we're going to remove, well, most of the parts here. Well, at least try to, so we can access our engine mount underneath here. So the first thing you have to do is to remove the fuse box over here. You can remove it by pushing these clips outwards, and then after that you can just pull the fuse box upwards. Honda uses a lot of clips like this, so it's very easy. So after removing this to the side a little bit, you can remove the plastic cover over the ECU and remove the three plugs that are underneath. I have an LPG system, which is a little bit in the way, but if you remove the two bolts over here, this one over here and then that one over there, then you can remove the little bracket, and then you have one more bolt in the back, which is just located over there, and then you can remove the ECM, which is bolted to the bracket. So I got the ECM and the bracket out. It was a bit difficult because of my LPG system, so I didn't show you guys. But normally, if you loosen up those two bolts, and then if you want to, you can loosen up the three bolts from the ECM. This one, and this one. Then it's easy to take it out. Just have to remove one clip here and one clip here, and then it's out. So now we've got a lot of room to access our bolt that goes through the mount and the three bolts that go to the chassis. So there's one in the back over here, one over here, and one over here. So let's loosen up this center bolt, and then normally we can take some extensions, and I think it's 14mm, and loosen up these three, and then the engine mount is out. You don't have to support the engine just yet. You can just leave it like this, that's okay. It's supported enough with the other engine mounts and the transmission mounts, so the engine is not gonna move. We only have to support the engine when we go over to the second engine mount over there. So let's remove this guy first. So this bolt and nut isn't really the original, so I'm not sure which ones you guys, well, which wrenches you guys are gonna need. But I've got a 15 and a 19. So now we can try and remove our three engine mount bolts. I would advise not to use an air gun on these bolts, because if you break one of the bolts, you're in big trouble. So what I use is, focus, a big ass extension with a big ass extension to loosen everything up. Let's put you guys back here. So I would have expected these guys to be a bit longer, but pretty short. 1 centimeter, like half an inch. So we've got 2 more bolts to loosen up. These are the same bolts you have to loosen when you want to do the timing belts. Now we can try and remove this guy, and then we can assess the damage. So this is the one I removed, and this is the new one, but I don't think this one is bad. You can see how sturdy it is. And then looking at the new one, well, it's not OEM, because if I have to pay those prices to get those parts to Europe, I'm bankrupt. But this doesn't move at all. So I'm gonna leave the one I bought in the box, because, well, it's only like an hour work to put this in, and I think I'm gonna leave this one in the car. Not sure if it's OEM. I don't think so. I can't see any Honda marks on it. So I'm gonna leave this guy in the car afterwards. Well, I'm gonna put it back in, but first let's remove the second engine mount and replace it with this guy. Okay, for the next part of the repair we have to remove some more stuff. First of all, I'm going to remove the 2 fans, and then normally I will be able to loosen up the bolts, 4 bolts that hold in, well, the 5 bolts that hold in our engine mount, the front one, and then normally I should be able to pass it through here and then take it out. So what I did already was I put my jack with a wooden block underneath the oil pan so it doesn't crack, and then now we can start to remove our 2 fans. So after removing these 2 small nuts, bolts, down below, I couldn't film it because even I couldn't see them, and then 1 clips on the left hand side, which is the passenger side actually, we can finally remove our fan shroud, like that. So these 2 bolts don't even have to be loosened. Well, don't have to be removed, they can be loosened. Well, that's good to know. Good for you guys. So you've got 4 bolts like this. 1, 2 and 2 on the other side. And then 1 up top over here. You can remove this, and then we can remove the 4 other ones. It's gonna be hard to show you, but I will try my best. So we've got a 17mm up top. Alright guys, so the 4 bolts are out, and now we're gonna gently lift up the engine by jacking up with our jack with a wooden block under the oil pan. The oil pan is strong enough, but you have to do it very gently. And the reason why we don't have the passenger side engine mount in, because now we can lift the engine and we can remove it from over here and then move it from our bracket that is attached to the engine. Okay, the engine mount is loose. I have to try and get it out without damaging anything. So because we lifted the engine, I had enough space to maneuver this fan shroud, so I just have enough space here to wiggle our engine mount through. Don't forget to put the engine, well, the fan shroud back in, because if you do lower the engine again, you will break a lot of stuff. So just make sure you don't break anything. Maneuver this around a little bit. You can just pull it out easily, so you don't have to remove the fluids from our radiator. So I've got the old one and the new Marmon side control engine mount next to each other. This one moves a lot and this one doesn't, and you can see there's like 1 centimeter that it's already lower than the new one. So I'm pretty sure this was the guy that caused all the problems with my engine, well, moving and making a lot of noise. So let's get this guy installed and then we can see the difference afterwards. Only have a few millimeters to spare. Make sure you don't break, well, or damage the radiator. So when you're lowering it, the best way is to already put your engine mount in up top, because it's tilted towards the driver's side, and if you want to line it up underneath on the chassis mount, well, the bolt up top will not line up with the engine mount going to the engine. So if you put your 17mm on already up top and then you lower it very gently, then the holes will line up very easily as well. Just take your time, don't overdo it. And when putting new bolts in, well, or the old bolts, just make sure you lube them up. So the front engine mount is in, it's all nice and tight. So I'm gonna do the installation again of everything. It's the same as the removal, but just the other way around. I'm not gonna bore you guys with all my LPG stuff here. So like I said, I'm gonna put my old engine mount in again because it looks like it's nice and tight, tighter than the new one. If it does make a lot of noise and still wobbles and knocks, well, I can change it out, but I'm not gonna bore you guys with that. Anyway, before we go to the next clip, I'm gonna show you guys one more thing. While we're here, just take a look at this fitting over here. So you probably heard of the strawberry milkshake of death, which means you have a cooler core in the radiator, which cools down or heats up our transmission fluid. But the thing is, these connections down here, they do tend to corrode and rust and then break, and then everything will mix together, so the coolant and the oil from your transmission, which means your transmission is gonna it's gonna get broken. Let's just put it like that. So make sure you check these, that they're still okay. I'm gonna do a bypass pretty soon because I don't want to get a new radiator from the US shipped over to Belgium. So that's gonna be in another video, but make sure to check these connections while you're here, and then yeah, you can do the install again. Alright guys, that's it for the repair. Hope you liked the video. If you did,